Hello, my name is Karthik Anamale Sami, and I'm a solutions architect at AWS. I'm pleased to have Kabir with me today to share SourceFuse experience as AWS SaaS Competency Partner. Thank you, Kabir, for joining with us today. To begin with, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a bit about SourceFuse, and some background about the company.
Hey, Karthik. Thanks for having us. My name is Kabir. I'm the Global Chief Operating Officer here at SourceFuse. And as the CEO, I work on delivering technology solutions to our global customer base. So SourceFuse is a digital transformation partner, and our mission is to help businesses innovate and grow by leveraging cloud-native technologies. We started back in 2006 in Jacksonville, Florida. That's where we're headquartered. And as the name suggests, we started by building solutions for SMBs on open source technologies. So come 2012, and I think in between 2012 and 16, and this was during the mobile app boom, we ended up building for a lot of mobile as well as application SaaS startups. And this is really when we started building our product development muscle. Everything from product strategy to building user experiences, agile practices, modern development technologies, and of course cloud. Right. So at this point of time, we were really deep into AWS. I remember back then, we were one of the early adopters of things like AWS Lambda and other serverless technologies. And at the time, I ran into whoever was the startup head here at an event, and we got talking, and we were telling him about our practice and how deep we are into AWS, and he encouraged me to join the partner program, and as to say, the rest is history.
That's great. Now, can you tell us a bit more about SourceFuse SaaS Competency Practice? How does SourceFuse help customers on SaaS transformation?
Sure. So, like I said, we've been in the business of building SaaS applications for more than a decade, right? But we really started thinking of SaaS as a practice back in 2019, and this is when we undertook the endeavor of building what we now call Arc, right? Arc is basically our open source rapid application development framework, which really consists of reusable assets. Like we have a catalog of microservices, we have reusable infrastructure as code, and front-end boilerplates that we can quickly put together, and then which forms the base of really any enterprise-grade SaaS application as well as other applications, right? So they're really like Lego blocks that you can quickly put together. But what we noticed was Arc, in the earlier avatar was basically just what SaaS calls the application side of the business. And what we noticed with a lot of customers, whether they were our customers or they were coming in from other channels, was that all of these customers had started basically building an MVP, if you will, and then had iterated on top of that. And what they really lacked was what in the SaaS world is called a control plane, right? So now we basically now built what we're calling Arc SaaS, which is now all of the control plane features that any SaaS application or platform would need to create a foundational product.
So interesting. Arc SaaS. Can you explain a bit more about architecture and about the value it brings to the customers building SaaS?
Sure. So the Arc SaaS architecture and features are basically built based on three things. One, it was our experience with building and scaling our applications for our customers. Two, a lot of the knowledge that's already available on the AWS SaaS Factory, especially the SaaS Builder Toolkit, because we used a lot of the reference architecture, knowledge from there. And three, Todd Holding's amazing book about SaaS architecture, because our whole team basically went through that and leveraged that knowledge when building this. As far as what our customers get with this is a well-architected control plane, that's truly segregated from the application plane, and it provides all of the features that one would expect. For example, the basic ones like tenant provisioning, tenant onboarding, tenant isolation, right? And then you can do these in either a pooled model or a siloed model. If you're working in compliance heavy verticals, or you can have a hybrid architecture if that's what you need. The other kind of features that we build is identity management. We also have tenant-based release management. So we use GitOps tools like Argo CD and Argo Workflow. So you're able to either deploy your code across all tenants at once, or you could do a staggered deployment and perhaps even roll back and things like that. Two features that particularly stand out that I think are especially valuable to customers are tenant-based observability, right? So having things like metrics, logs, traces that are segregated at a tenant level, so that ops teams can debug issues, troubleshoot, and things like that without having to worry about looking at another tenant's data, I think is really valuable. The other one is we also have very granular tenant specific cost monitoring. And this really helps us as well as our customers get a lot of insight into how they should actually charge for their services, and perhaps even design their payment plans. So if you have like a basic, standard, advanced tier, how should I charge for it? Just based on historical data on how tenants of different sizes and complexity actually use the system. So I think those features, when you get out of the box, are extremely valuable if you have them early on, in your journey as a SaaS company.
That's really insightful. So can you take us through a recent SaaS project which SourceFuse has delivered? What are the key customer challenges, and how did SourceFuse approach the solution as a whole?
Sure. So we're currently working with a healthcare logistics company in the US, and they're a traditional ISV, i.e., they have a solution, and they basically go and deploy that solution as a single deployment for each customer. So either that's on a private data center or on premise, or even on the cloud, right? But as you can imagine, it's a ton of operational overhead to manage these customers, to patch these deployments, to provide feature upgrades, and so forth, right? So essentially, they were feeling the heat from the competition that were already kind of cloud native SaaS solutions, and desperately wanted to modernize and SaaSify their solution. So when we started working with the customer and really started understanding their technology as well as their business, we also found that a large part of their operational costs were their licenses. Now, not only were these guys deploying single deployments for their customers, but each single deployment, because they were based on a Microsoft stack, basically meant rolling out Windows servers and SQL Server databases, right? Which basically meant that operationally, they were even less competitive on costs. So during our kind of discovery with the customer, we also proposed that in addition to SaaSifying the solution, we should first take a step back and also modernize their technology stack. So we essentially took them from .NET to .NET Core, which means that we could deploy these on Linux, containerize their applications, make them more scalable, and then we also went from SQL Server to Postgres for their persistence layer, right? So not only did we kind of make this a true blue multi-tenant SaaS solution, but we also drastically reduced their operational expenditure by getting them rid of the Microsoft licenses.
That's an impressive work. So just curious, what are the AWS services utilized in this architecture? And how does the chosen architecture contribute to the partner's success?
Yeah, so like I said, this is not necessarily a very large customer, right? They're a small, nimble team of developers. not necessarily a ton of DevOps and AWS knowledge. So the natural choice to go with was with AWS ECS because it's pretty much self-serve. And then we also took them on Postgres Aurora Serverless. And that takes care of an unpredictable spiky load across these 50 customers, without having like a complete SRE team on board and things like that. So it worked well for them. And in addition to that, we have the usual security services that AWS offers, like the web application firewall, CloudTrail, Inspector, etc.
Interesting, Kabir. So now, AWS SaaS Competency. So what has been your experience in being an AWS SaaS Competency partner? What benefit that this partnership brings to SourceFuse and to your customers?
Sure. It's been a game changer for us, really. Because like I said, right from the time that we started preparing for the competency and to the time that we achieved it, it was a learning process all the way. And then we had really good support from the business leader at AWS, Ray Dillon, and then you yourself, Karthik, as a solution architect, in just helping us achieve that competency. And once we did, because we're a global partner, we got introduced to the AWS SaaS teams in all of our relevant geographies, right? So US, UK, Australia, and here in APJ, which is great. We got invited to the SAS bootcamp in Japan. I got to meet Greg Wicks. I also kind of validated our value proposition of Arc SAS with him, which was really good. So, just in addition to just getting the competency and all of the technical validation and guidance that you guys provide, it's really helped us solidify SaaS as a go-to-market for us in 2024-25.
Perfect. So looking forward, what else do you see as emerging practice for SourceFuse coming into next year and in the future?
Sure. So, it's no surprise. You can't have any customer conversation these days without generative AI, right? So we're investing heavily into our Gen AI competency, and we're building a large team around it. We already have now both existing as well as new SaaS customers that we've built Gen AI features for, right? So there are two things, right? One is implementing Gen AI features on top of existing SaaS solutions. The other is we also have now our first two Gen AI first, SaaS products that we're building. One is in the marketing technology space, and the other is in the recruitment space. So, it's very exciting times to be building now, these kind of AI agentic workflows that's, now taking a flavor from software as a service to outcome as a service, which is what now I think in the future customers would expect. The other track where Gen AI is very relevant to SourceFuse is in our modernization offering. So we're using tools like Amazon Q Developer, especially for things like code conversion, right? One of our customers in the UK, and they're a global, they basically build a global mobility platform for employees, is basically converting or migrating all of their applications to Java just because that's their technology choice, as an enterprise. And we're using things like Amazon Q Developer to convert code from .NET to Java, and we've seen at least 20% productivity gain from doing that, right? So in the future, we want to kind of invest more into this kind of AI-based tooling that's going to help basically accelerate our modernization practice. So think, .NET Core, think converting stored procedures to, .NET Core API code and things like that. I think that's going to be really big for us in the future.
That's awesome. So I'm really looking forward to see what's coming out of SourceFuse in the near future. And of course, see you grow as a SaaS competency partner. Kabir, it was great having you on. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Karthik. It was wonderful being here.